Hey there, graphic designers. Today we're going to take a look at creating the collage with clipping masks. I'm going to bypass all the making the selections because we've learned that and done that before. So you can see we got our Dota logo here that we're going to take and use. Like I said, I've already made the selection, so I would come in here with my selection tools, grab what I wanted to, and be left with something like this once I take and I put that mask on there. So I left out the middle parts to give it a little bit more of a dynamic look to it. Got rid of the background, and we're looking at just the logo here. Now, you don't have to do this project with just a logo. We can use text as well. So if I would rather take and grab my text tool, come in here, we could write out whatever we want to take and write out. So if you're doing one for family or friends or something like that, or you guys got a funny quote that you're going to take and use, we want to find a thicker font so that our imagery will show up inside of it better. And I don't have to do any masking or anything. I could just write the text for this if we're going to be using our text. Now, what we'll do is once we sort of have our logo masked or our text down, we're going to gather our images. So I got a couple of images from Dota that I'm going to use here. So there's two separate ones. I got a background that we're going to throw back behind it. So again, we would take our time, come through here, make a nice selection and mask it out. So we can see it once I had this one. There's my selection with the mask on it. We would take and bring them over to our logo. Make sure it's on top. If I got to shrink this down, I could do my edit free transform, or I could do that Command T. So we get him sort of sized up where he'll fit in here. Now I'm putting his legs along the bottom because he's got the bottom of his legs that are cut off. So I'm having him just stay right outside of that Dota logo. And what's going to happen is with this layer selected and making sure that it's above my logo right here that's been masked, I'm going to take and say layer, create clipping mask. And what happens is that anywhere where they overlap, the two images will show. Okay, so my little witch doctor guy here, wherever it's overlapping with my logo, we can see. Anywhere where it's not, it goes away. So we're using the symbol behind it to take and either show or hide our image that we're using. Now, I moved him up a little bit so that this way we can see the sort of book nut here nicely that he's looking at, but the bottom of his leg is cut off here. So instead of just leaving that sort of floating, I'm going to do my transform, maybe make this a little bit larger and move it around. So we want to sort of size and place things appropriately so that they look good. I'll grab the little pudge here again too. Again, I got it masked already. This is what it originally looked like. So I made my selection, masked it. We can bring it over, drop it on here. And I'm going to do the same thing. Instead of going to layer, create clipping mask, we can do the same thing by holding the option button. And if I go directly between, you get that little arrow with the square. And that will create a clipping mask as well. So when I click, again, it's not going to go onto the witch doctor because that's already clipped on there. It goes all the way down to my actual logo that's on there, okay? And that clipping mask is represented by that little down arrow, so we know that those are clipped in there. I'll do my transform. I'm going to shrink him up, maybe give him a little bit of a better placement. I made him smaller, and he's up near the top here, so I don't really want him in front of the book here, so I can take my layer and I could slide it down to rearrange those. So now it looks like he's sort of behind him looking forward at him. And then I also grabbed a background here. So you're going to be bringing in your own background for it. Oops. Now, because I dragged and dropped it, and it was between here, it automatically clipped it into my Dota logo. So what I can do is just say layer, release clipping mask, and that'll drop it out of that clipping mask and make it a normal layer for me. So you're able to bring things into and out of that clipping mask, which is nice. Okay, so You guys will take in place at least 6 images inside of the logo or the text. You'll give it a nice background. And then the last thing is that this logo with the guys around it sort of blend in with the background here. So we're going to add some layer effects. So if I click on my logo layer right here, because that's the one that I want them to be applied to, my layer effects is this little FX button down here. I'm going to click on it, and these all do different things here. So maybe I'm going to start with a stroke. And right now there's that black stroke around it. We could play with the size of it. We could say if we wanted to go inside or outside. I'd probably want it to go outside so that it's not intruding on the imagery here. I don't really like the black, so we could take and come in here and change the color. Maybe I'll go with a darkish blue of some kind to match a little bit better. Maybe I want to go more with like a reddish color to sort of blend a little bit better with that. I could take and come over here once I hit OK to give it an outer glow. So again, it's already got that red color. We could play with the opacity and the spread, so how far it's going out, the size of it. So you can see that sort of glow that's turning on and off right there if we wanted to give it a glow. But there's just a lot of different options that you could come through here and place on it. So I could give it a color overlay. Right now it's that gray. Again, maybe I want to go with the blue from that background right there. And it's covering up right now because the opacity is all the way up. So maybe I'll set the opacity down a little bit. But that'll give it like that little bit of a bluish tinge from the background. So you're going to add some layer effects to it, which show up below that layer to give it a little bit of a different look. And again, these could be turned on and off with the little eyeballs. We could take them, we could drag them to the trash can and completely get rid of them if we want to. But it gives it a little bit more of a unique look. It separates it from the background a little bit and sort of just finishes the image. Same thing goes with our text here. Again, I could take that background, drag it in, maybe take and do a little transform to it. Stretch it out a little bit, just so it's covering the entire background here. And then we would do the same thing where we grab our images, bring them over. If I want him inside of the O right here, layer, create clipping mask, he drops into there. Now, if I want to do something more unique where maybe he's just in the O right here and he's not showing up in the other letters, remember we do have that mask that's still on there. So if we grab a black brush, we can take and mask that out so we're not covering it up. We're just taking and hiding it. So now he's just right there. Maybe even get rid of that hand because that part looks a little bit weird to me. And just have him in there. Grab the little pudge guy, bring him over. Maybe I want him inside of the A right here. So again, the Alt button, clicking between the layers will drop him into there. Move him around a little bit, make sure his face is visible. And again, if I don't want that part of the hand right there, making sure that we're on that mask. Black is going to show, white is going to hide. And that'll hide that. If I wanted to bring it back, I could flip it over to a white, and that will bring his hand back right there. So we're using that layer mask to take and control what's showing and what's hiding. And again, coming in here with the layer effects, maybe I'm going to do a stroke around it again. Give it that red stroke. Maybe the size gets a little bit larger, smaller, however we want to handle it. Again, we could always adjust the color and sort of give it our own look and how we want it to sort of feel on the image.